I say this all the time, that leadership goes two ways. It doesn't just come from, me as an owner and a partner pushing it down to them. It comes from me pushing it down, but them also giving me the information that I need. So if everyone's their own little business, everyone's their own little entrepreneur, they're running their own division, they're taking ownership over what happens within their division, then we're going to have more success as a company.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Having a vision as an entrepreneur is not something that is nice to have, it's a requirement. You must be able to cast a vision for what's not created yet. You must be able to see it so clearly that you can actually communicate it with others so that they can see it too. Now, how do you get there? Well, you want to make sure that you understand that power of vision. When you communicate it consistently, that really does support the organization. There's another piece to this that I want to bring to light. It also changes. Sometimes the vision that you're heading toward must change. And so your job is to carefully look at the changes that are ahead, have the time to do that so that you can become the visionary for the business and navigate those changes, because your job is to see what others can't see and to be able to navigate those changes across the organization, aligning people together to that. Now we have a special guest today. He is the co-founder of Mixt Solutions. Mixt is a company that works in the world of Amazon, a very powerful space to help support brands that want to sell on Amazon at a higher level. But what we talk about today is his use of vision and the need for changing that vision over time as the company has evolved and has grown quickly. We're going to talk about this with Alexander Johnson. He is one of that co-founder that says vision is such an important piece to the success of the company, but also the ability to change it when necessary. Here's the interview with Andrew. Before we dive into the interview, I wanted to remind you that you can actually get a tool that I've been working with clients with for the last couple of years. I've refined this tool that's gone through several iterations. Now we have it completely automated. You can actually go online and fill out the leadership quiz. To get the leadership quiz, just go to theleadershipquiz.com. That's pretty easy, right? Theleadershipquiz.com. What you will get when you do that is you will answer a few questions. You will see where you rate based on the core principles of fast growth companies. If you're ready to grow your company or you want to see where you are, then make sure you go to theleadershipquiz.com. Inside it, you will get insight to where you are, understand where you want to improve, and you will get them mapped into the 10 areas that are most specific to fast growth companies. Again, go to theleadershipquiz.com and you can get that right now. Hey, Alexander, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Fantastic. We're going to talk about vision and about your fast growth as a leader and as a company. I would love for you to let our audience know a little bit more about Mixt Solutions. So how would you frame that?
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Alexander V. Johnson. I'm a partner at Mixt Solutions. We started in 2014, really with a very different concept of what we were going to be. We were just talking before we got on here about the name, and what we really wanted to be was a food truck that would vend kind of supplements, whether it be at CrossFit events, races, outside of gyms. Thought that was a great business, and it couldn't fail because all you could ever find out is a location that didn't work. But we didn't really have any cash or capital. So we kind of started a website, sold a little bit on that website, started to do pretty well. But we had a rep kind of chirp in our ear that he had someone doing $500,000 a month on Amazon. And I was like, whoa, you mean $500,000 a year? He was like, no, $500,000 a month. So that was huge revenue to us at that point in time. So we got onto the Amazon platform. We learned some things. We did certainly things wrong. But now what we've grown out to is kind of a full service, one-stop shop for brands looking to leverage the Amazon platform. So if you would have a brand, we could help you take that brand onto the platform. So we have some shops that are small. They're only in a couple stores selling on their website, doing a couple, $1,000 of revenue. And then we have brands that are, literally tens of millions of dollars in 60, 70,000 stores across the United States and international, and everything in between. So we've been fortunate to find good partners that we can help utilize the Amazon platform and really maximize it.
Well, I have run into a few people through the Ink List and through my own network of people that are trying to understand the Amazon, uh, environment and all of the ways to sell on that. And I think what many of the companies here are doing is really just helping brands sell more. Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah, I mean, because what I tell people is you really need three aspects of any, product-based business. You need retail, you need your website, and then you need Amazon. Amazon really is that kind of third channel. But because it's kind of evolved so quickly, no one really had the time to adapt to it, especially kind of your older companies. We do some business in the candy industry. Candy industry is a lot of old school guys. They were in the 1800s. They've been kind of a mom and pop shop, but now they're big businesses. But because of that kind of slower growth mentality, they don't really know what to do on the Amazon platform. And, that stretches out to some huge brands. I mean, there are $100 million brands who are just a mess on Amazon because they're still moving so slow. They don't understand what needs to happen and how to effectively do it. So we've been successful at picking up companies large and small and helping them transform that process and basically just being a strategic partner for their online sales.
Alexander, I want to pivot a little bit and to talk about vision. And one of the things that I have seen with fast growth companies is your job as one of the key leaders there in the company, because I know you're a co-founder, but is to have a vision out into the future, cast that vision, very clearly and communicate that consistently to the employees. But why is vision so important to the success of your company?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Well, first, we have a very small team. So we do a fair amount of revenue with a small team. We're really proud of that fact. But because of how much our company has changed over the last 5.5 or so years, I mean, the vision has always been kind of growing on the fly, because in year one, we didn't even really know what we were going to be. And in year two, that changed. And in year three, that changed again. So it's always been a situation where we're adapting what we're trying to accomplish to what's working for us at the current moment in time. That's one of the things that I really do attribute to our success on a major scale is we never fell in love with, hey, this is all we're going to ever be. We're only going to sell on our website. I mean, if we were still selling on our website, we would have died out like bodybuilding.com died out. But we didn't. We saw where the future opportunities were. And we were quick enough to pivot on a dime and say, hey, look, that was our old vision. This is our new vision. We're going to take it and run with it. Even if the vision isn't 100% perfectly clear, we know that the vision is that direction. So we need to start pressing that way. And I do credit our employees for kind of bearing with us through that process because, we were a small company at that point in time. And we didn't really have the revenue that we have now to be able to sustain at a high level. So, them trusting us and us being able to fortunately build that vision clear enough for them that, hey, look, we're growing. Growth cures a lot of things, especially miscommunications and misunderstandings about what's going to be the future of the company. But it's like, hey, I'm on the ground floor of a company that's growing faster than any bank that I've ever worked at. This is something I want to keep on pressing forward with. And that's how we got our chief operating officer. He's working at a bank. And I told him like, hey, look, that bank has 5,000 employees. You're probably never going to be one of the top guys, but you can be the third person in our company of, 2 right now. And maybe someday you'll be the CEO. So, we've been very fortunate to have good employees that have kind of been with us through those pivots and understood that, hey, even if the vision isn't clear, I can be part of the process and helping find that vision.
So let's put a spotlight on what are the steps you've taken to communicate the vision so that employees feel that sense of alignment that's necessary.
Yeah, definitely. Because, like I said, we grew and changed so much throughout the duration of our first couple of years. It was hard to identify what the strategic vision was. I mean, everyone knew, hey, let's grow, let's, do a bunch of revenue, let's find good exclusive partners. But like, what was the end goal or the catalyst to all of that? What was that going to result in? That wasn't quite always clear. So, we put a lot of focus around goal setting. We do goal setting by each week, each month, each quarter, each year. And, one of the things I think that we've done that's been really helpful, because I own a couple of different companies and, it's really easy for me to incentivize sales reps, right? Like you go out, you sell, you get commission on that sale, and then it's done and dusted. our business isn't quite like that. So it's hard for someone to necessarily see, hey, my actions result in this, which helps the company, which grows our revenue, which comes back onto, my salary or my paycheck or my stock options, whatever it may be. So we've done a lot to align goals that we set for individuals to how they are looked at for pay raises. And I think that's been a huge benefit for us because, you know, I've always had trouble, going through these pay raise things is because it's like, well, you've been with us for a long time, but, you've done a lot of great things, but we still need to grow more as a company, So one of the things I really wanted to do was make that less kind of gray and make it more black and white. Here's your goals. Here's the most important things for you to accomplish over the next 6 months. If you can accomplish them, I know as the business owner, that person kind of pulled their weight and they can say, hey, I knocked everything out, man. Like, I need to get a pay raise. I'm clearly helping the company, build for its ultimate long-term goals. So I think, as opposed to saying, here's our 10-year goal, we're going to be the biggest company on Amazon. We're going to sell $100 million per year. I think it's a lot easier for us to chalk them into smaller goals on a week by month by quarter basis. So then we're always working forward as opposed to, trying to take big leaps at it at 1 year's time.
Hold on for a second. Alexander just talked about goal setting. And specifically, the goal setting was with individuals because the company may have goals, the team may have goals, but if you're not taking the time to actually figuring out how the individual's goals are aligning with what they want to do and how that aligns to the company, you're missing an opportunity. I call this shared goals. I created a behind the scenes episode recently about it. So you just have to go back and find that episode or email me if you want to get it. It's gene@genehammett.com. But the point is, your job as a leader is to not only set goals as an organization and as a team, but individual goals and have everyone aligned to what that means. Get them to take ownership of the goals and the process along that journey. Now back to the interview. What else besides goals go into that vision?
I think just an understanding of the team that, again, I know it sounds cliche, but they're on the ground floor of something that's really big. And if they stick with us and they stay, as we continue to become bigger, better, more successful, then it could change their lives. It's hard for a lot of employees to think like, oh, if I work for this company for 12 years, 5 years, 8 years, it's going to change my life. But, the way that I look at everyone in our company is as their own little business owner. And that's hugely beneficial. That's something I took from having sales guys is everyone's kind of their own little business owner. And as a business owner, you have to take responsibility for everything that you're doing. I say this all the time, that leadership goes two ways. It doesn't just come from, me as an owner and a partner pushing it down to them. It comes from me pushing it down, but them also giving me the information that I need. So if everyone's their own little business, everyone's their own little entrepreneur, they're running their own division, they're taking ownership over what happens within their division, then we're going to have more success as a company. And I think some of the things that we've done at a really good capacity are putting frameworks in place for those people to do that. Then on the flip side, them being able to take the reins and say, hey, I get what Alex's expectations are me for this. I know no matter what he's outlined what the most important 6 things are for the next 3 or 4 months, that's what I'm going to work on. That's what I'm going to help the company push forward when it comes to it.
Alexander just talked about he wants everyone to think like it's their own business. What does that really mean? Well, you want to make sure that people feel connected to the business so that they feel like the CEO of their projects, of the clients that they're working on, and of the whole experience that they're trying to create for the company. If they don't think of like they're the CEO, they're not really owning that experience. The converse of that is they need to be micromanaged, or you feel they need to be micromanaged, which is very dangerous because it doesn't empower them to share their ideas, to make decisions. They wait for you to make the decisions for them. And that's not a good place for either one of you because you're not growing and you actually get caught back into the day-to-day. Your job as a CEO is to let others believe that they're the CEO of their own work. Now back to the interview. I got a smile over my face because I certainly didn't guide you to say the word ownership, but across my research and hundreds of founders, I used to ask this question. I don't ask it as much anymore, but I used to ask the question, how do you get your employees to take responsibility for big growth goals? And the founders would say, it's not really about responsibility. It's about ownership. And when you get people to have that spark in their eye of ownership, There's something completely different about the way they show up for work, the way they approach problems, the way they innovate inside their roles, and the way they treat the customers. How do you keep that, you know, first and foremost as a part of the culture of the company?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I've owned and ran a couple of different businesses, and one of the things that I can absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, tell you is going to build a bad employee is if they don't feel like they have ownership. You know, there's 100 different things to create a great employee. There's one thing that I know for a fact will create a bad employee, someone who doesn't really believe in what you're doing, and that's if they don't feel like they have ownership over what they're doing. If I come in and I'm just telling you, hey, do it this way, do it this way, do it this way, eventually anyone's just going to get worn down by that. And I've seen that from other partners that I've had. It's just like individuals don't want to be in that environment, even if they're making a ton of money. I've had people that are making a lot of money at a company, and they're just like, this is no fun. I don't enjoy this. This is not something I want to keep doing, because it's kind of like a daily beatdown. On the flip side of that, to provide them the opportunity for ownership, one of the things that I'm really proud of at Mixt, and I don't even know if we did it on purpose or we kind of fell into it. Everyone takes like a lot of seriousness about what we do. They take a lot of pride in doing what we do at a high level. And I don't know if that's something I've said, my business partner said, or just the company culture, that people are really serious about what we're doing and they want to perform at a high level. And whether that's because we set incentives up for people, or if there's kind of just this camaraderie, like, hey, we only have 6 people here working in a $10 million+ business. Everyone is vitally important. Like I just did a survey of if you feel guilty taking days off. That was one of many HR questions. And people said, I don't feel guilty, because I know you tell me all the time, take my time off. That's no problem. But I know that I'm really important when I'm in the office. So I need to make sure that unless I have a serious reason for not coming in, like I'm there and I'm contributing to the company. And I don't know if that's just because, again, we're a small business and we have, limited physical resources of people, or if we did something along the way to build that understanding that, hey, every piece is important. But it's definitely evident in our business. And I think that's one of the things that keeps us glued together and it keeps everybody serious about what's happening. Because you don't want to just say like, oh, hey, I had a bad day yesterday. I'm going to come in and I'm going to give it a half-hearted effort. Like everyone understands, like while you're in the office, the expectation, and I don't even know if it's necessarily an expectation that we've set. It's just an understanding among the guys and gals. It's like, hey, we're going to be serious while we're here, because we do feel like what we're doing is important. And I think that's partially empowerment and partially just the team nature of what we have here.
You had mentioned that you've had to change plans and change visions, change the business model of the company. How have you communicated those changes so that people, see that change is good? Because a lot of people resist change.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, partially it's even been an experiment for us as owners because, as we take flyers on certain situations, we don't necessarily know, is this going to be like our primary driver of revenue? Our primary driver of revenue, we thought initially was going to be a mobile supplement business, then a website, and then selling other people's products on Amazon, then selling our own products on Amazon. And then now we're consulting and we're still building off of that model even. And now we're like, okay, well, how do we take these dollars and invest in new brands and build our own brands throughout that? And, we're also invested in real estate now, and we're looking at investing in software and technology. So it's a little bit been, an experimentation process as owners even, and kind of just telling the individuals around us like, hey, you see what's happening on a day-to-day basis on Amazon, just like we do, where are there opportunities for growth? And the second half of that, I think, is that the individuals in the business, we give a lot of transparency to, so they know what's going on. It's not like a secret, hey, this is really difficult for our company to do. And I think that just the guys and gals are smart enough to understand, like, hey, is there a better way we could do this? Like, is Amazon always going to allow us to do business in this particular way? Everyone's kind of grown and adapted. We thought, hey, we'll cut our teeth in the sports nutrition industry and we'll be the biggest consultants in sports nutrition. And then we landed a couch cover company that's like killing it for us. And we're like, maybe we need to get into home goods, And then we started doing business with chocolates, the opposite of sports nutrition. And that's been an awesome market for us. So Because I think people have the opportunity to see what's going on, I think they understand on an intuitive level, like, hey, maybe if we made a little shift, this would work. And, I would say they give us even light pressure, like, hey, what are we going to do here? Do we need more brands like this? Is this going to be beneficial for us? So, I think that camaraderie comes into play majorly because people feel like they have the opportunity to speak up. They also feel like if they speak up, they give us good ideas. It's going to be something that's benefiting them in the long term.
I would imagine what you have created there and the kind of business that you have a healthy relationship with failure, meaning you've encouraged people to try things, make some decisions, see if it works out, test it. Am I accurate in saying that?
Most definitely. Yeah. I could spend the next couple of minutes detailing all the issues that we've had, the failures that we've come across, exclusive partners that didn't work out, everything. But it hasn't ever deterred us because I think, one, we've always found the best situation for ourselves, or at least a good enough situation to keep ourselves moving forward. And then two, we've learned from all those failures. So, when I talk like on sales calls to potential exclusive partners, I pretty much know all the things that are going to work and all the things that aren't going to work because we've really been through them. It's like, hey, that works, that doesn't work. You're going to have issues with this. Amazon sold your product at one point in time. You're not going to be able to change those listings, and people are just like, oh, okay, well, they don't necessarily know if I'm being truthful or not, but we've seen all those things firsthand over the last 5 years. And 5 years on Amazon is like 50 years in any other type of business because things change just so fast. So we've kind of done all the mistakes that we can. I mean, they say, an expert is someone who just made all the mistakes they can in a specific field. And I really do feel like we've done that on Amazon. We've made all the mistakes, but every step of the way, we figured out, hey, this is going to work if we see this again.
Well, that's been a great kind of way to look at, casting vision and navigating change with you, Alexander. Really appreciate you being here on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm absolutely very appreciative for you having me on.
Great interview. Love talking about vision with someone who has created something just from an idea and been able to change the vision of that and align other people together. That's an important piece to this whole conversation of vision and navigating to a place that's never been created before. Now, when you are the visionary for your company, you are able to connect the dots. You're able to take time to think about these things. I talk about these over and over because I just see so many people that aren't creating the time. They haven't let go of the day-to-day, and that really is a problem if you're the leader who's expected to see the vision, communicate it, and navigate through change, and do all the other stuff too. So your job as leader is to be that visionary. Today, we had a very good conversation with Alexander about what that means and how that's helped him in the organization. Hopefully you've learned from it. If there's anything you have questions about your own confidence, courage, or the mentality it takes to actually be the leader that you want to be, make sure you reach out to me, Gene@genehammett.com. I'd love to serve you. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.